Jar Jar Binks. You are listening to Behind the Lens.
Georgia Mission wrote me off. She said I'd never see him come near. 870 pounds from a thyroid condition, one room down, but beyond these walls, she's going off with friends at work. Yeah. Beyond these walls, she tells the guy she dates he's a pompous jerk. Yeah. Well, she longs for normalcy, so she's worked some kinks into her reverie. Friends will bug you and lovers fail. All this human feels an intricate daydream, sir. But beyond these walls, the mundane ends of rhapsody. Yeah. Beyond these walls, our faces and acquaintances.
And yes, you are listening to Behind the Lens. Shaking things up a little bit this morning again this week. I'm Debbie Elias, film critic, creator, and host of Behind the Lens. You can find me 24/7 in 140 plus outlets around the world, print and online, and with interviews and reviews. And every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Adrenaline Radio. And what you just heard was from the Badleys, Beyond These Walls. Any of our regular listeners heard more about the Badleys last week with the film All in Time. And we're going to have two of the stars of the film of All in Time joining us this week at 11:30. One, the acclaimed Lynn Cohen, and also Josh Burrow, who all of you may know as Captain Morgan in the Captain Morgan rum commercials. But right here for the hour, who's trying desperately not to laugh at me and make fun of me, is my compadre, my partner in crime, a wonderful friend and a great film critic, Michael Snyder, the culture blaster himself.
Thank you, Debbie. Nice to be here. Nice to be on board.
Oh, I'm thrilled to have you.
Speaking of Captain Morgan, I
Yes.
feel like, this is a ship that's plowing straight forward. We're on a voyage of discovery.
Which ship?
Oh, it's a good ship, Debbie.
Oh.
We're fine. We're fine.
Well, I am thrilled to have you here, because normally you're up north in the Bay Area.
Well, I split my time between the two cities, San Francisco and Los Angeles, but to be frank with you, this is where the action is. Southern California, in particular Los Angeles and Hollywood, it's the business we're in, and there's far more popping here, and with all the tech growth up in the Northern California area, there hasn't been a comparable growth in arts and arts financing, and so a lot of that has just traveled south over the past 10, 15 years to the point where I would rather be here on a work visa, if you will, than in my beautiful hometown of San Francisco. Love it, Los Angeles, love it. Love the people, love the work, company town, and artist colony. I just hate the sports teams. I am a San Francisco, patriot, if you will.
I follow the Philadelphia Eagles.
And as you know, we are both originally Philadelphia natives.
Yes, we are.
So we do share that in common. And I follow our home teams.
Yes.
The one team that trumps all Bay Area teams for me in terms of professional sports, the Philadelphia Flyers hockey team.
Oh, absolutely.
I love them beyond all imagining. I don't care about the San Jose Sharks, but
the Flyers
are the deal. And it's helpful for me, just let's call it a sidebar.
Yes.
The Warriors, our champion Golden State Warriors, well, the previous year's champion, in fact, began in Philadelphia as the Philadelphia Warriors and moved to the Bay Area in the 60s. And I still have, geographically speaking, I love them twice as much.
Yeah, well, I'm not big on, basketball and hockey I love, but still, for me, the Flyers, back in the 80s, in the heyday with Bobby Clark, Bernie Perrant, Dave Schultz, Rick McLeish, Billy Barber, that was hockey.
It was. And, it always killed me that they weren't able to do anything of that kind of potency on a championship level in so long after that. But we have had the joy of the Stanley Cup in Philly.
Yes.
So it's okay.
Yes, and I still remember when we won it for the first time, and that was amazing. Amazing.
Madness. But, moving on, Any sports films that you love? That's kind of a little out of left field.
But there are a lot of sports films that I love. Obviously, the Rocky series, considering I worked on 2 of them, and the paychecks didn't bounce.
And set in the city of
Set
brotherly
in
love,
the
your
city of
hometown.
brotherly love. Another one that was set in Philly and shot in Philly, Invincible, starring Mark Wahlberg. And then we have the new one coming out. Have you seen it yet? Bleed for this.
I am actually seeing it today, Monday, and I don't know when people are going to necessarily catch up to this programming. But
We're going out live right now.
we're live, so it would be tonight. And you people that check it out on the podcast level, I'm sorry you've missed Bleed for Us. I could have taken you, but you didn't contact me as my guest. For the show.
And because I know we're still under embargo on that, what I will say is, it is a great telling of the story of Rhode Island's Vinnie Paz. But anybody from the tri-state area back east, any boxing fans, you know who Vinnie Paz is. I mean, I actually saw Vinnie Paz box with Joe Frazier Jr., not Marvis, Joe Jr. So, it's a very worthwhile film to see, and Miles Teller just embodies Vinnie amazingly.
He buffed it up, did he?
That, to put it mildly.
Well, we will see tonight, and I'm very much looking forward to it. It's an interesting week for those of us who do reviews and such, because we have the J.K. Rowling prequel,
right?
Fantastic Beasts, ... and a few other things, including, I believe, a Brad Pitt World War II espionage movie called
Allied, which, have you seen yet?
I have not.
I have.
And should I prepare myself for thrills and chills aplenty, or are we still under embargo?
I think I'm under embargo
Okay,
until tonight. It might have lifted at 12:01 this morning, but I don't have my calendar in front of me with my embargoes. So rather than get myself in trouble with Paramount, I will refrain from comment.
One way or the other. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. One of the joys of doing this career-wise is having access to incredible films, marvelous films that you wouldn't normally have the opportunity to see, foreign and independent stuff. Blockbusters and prestige studio movies, they're around. We're getting bombarded with advertising, but
especially right now, because we are in award season.
Time for nominations, and I will say right now, without going into any great depth, some performances in some movies are absolutely rising like cream for me. And I do the movie no disservice, and I don't know if there's an embargo, and I will say I don't care, but if people like drama and human interaction and the human condition and the real emotion that's involved in dealing with tragedy and challenge. Manchester by the Sea is
stunning.
Is one of the best films I've seen this year, and I will say in a rather small role. I mean, I'm talking very brief screen time. Michelle Williams gives maybe the best performance of her career.
I think that's fair to say. It's the most genuine.
I was stunned, and I'm writing about it for next month. I do a monthly column in the Marina Times, which you can get online at marinatimes.com, and it's also a Bay Area publication. So even if I'm down here, I'm keeping my hand in up there, and that's the lead review for the December issue.
Yeah, I'm actually doing below-the-line interviews on Manchester this week, starting tomorrow with the sound designer.
It's a terrific film.
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful. Other good ones that are coming up, Jackie.
Have not seen it. Looking forward to it. Natalie Portman as Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy.
Yes, but I gotta tell you, another standout. It's the best performance. It's better than what she even did with Black Swan. But equally superb is Peter Sarsgaard as Bobby Kennedy.
Well, I'm looking forward to that film, and if I may throw one in, and I don't care, again, if there's an embargo, it's a wonderful film. People should see it. It's called Lion, and it's based on a true story. And I don't know if you've heard the phrase, how's the phrase go? You couldn't make this up. You couldn't make this story up.
I'm dying to see it. There was a special screening the other night. I could not make it because of conflicts, because I was seeing Moana in order to do the press junket yesterday. And I'll be writing and talking about Moana next week before it opens on the 23rd. But suffice to say, it is absolutely stunning and beautiful. Go see it. It'll be great for Thanksgiving weekend for the family. But yeah, so I missed it. But there are other screenings coming up, and that is definitely high on my list.
I encourage you to see it. It was I was at the AFI showing, and I don't do festivals generally
I know you
speaking,
don't.
but when given an opportunity to see a movie prior to release for review, if I can get in, I will. And in this case, there was a Q&A afterwards with the writer of the film, with Nicole Kidman, with Dev Patel.
Rub it in, rub it
Hey,
in.
no. It was very it was a modest Q&A. It
No,
wasn't a big...
because I was dying because I really wanted to go to that one for the Q&A, and I had to go up to Burbank for Moana.
This was the second time I've been in a room with Nicole Kidman. Shall I tell you just a quick anecdote?
I'm afraid to hear it.
No. So I'm meeting somebody. I've never gone on record with this, and it's really kind of amazing. I'm meeting someone at the Polo Lounge. I mean, look at me. I mean, if those of you who are watching on video,
Well,
I look
they'll get to see it in the podcast on YouTube.
I look like some sort of overage bike messenger. I don't look like anybody important. And I'm wandering into the Polo Lounge to meet a friend to discuss a project. And as I'm coming in, I see a woman all in black coming out of the relatively dim light of the Polo Lounge bar area. She's coming from the dining area through the bar area to the exit. Mm-hmm. And as I get a little closer, I realize it's Nicole Kidman. And she's in black. She might have even been wearing a cat suit. Maybe that's my memory playing. I don't mean as in like, I don't mean like Halloween, but I mean she seemed to be all in black, like black slacks, black top, black jacket. Her face was incandescent. It was like, the phrase, oh my God, they're like heavenly bodies.
Yes.
The stars are like, she has an inner light in this dim room, and she's coming at me, and we lock eyes. And she smiles at me, and as she approaches me, she goes, "Oh my, how are you?" And I'm going, she thinks I'm someone else. She thinks I'm a friend of Keith Urban's, perhaps, because who else would I possibly be?
It's very possible.
Or a screenwriter.
Yeah.
If I am, but I'm not a screenwriter.
Well, we're gonna get to that later in the show.
But I'm like, who? What? And I don't know what to say. I say, "I'm great, and how are you?" She goes, "Wonderful." And I go, "Lovely to see you." She goes, "Same." And she passes me. And I'm like thinking, did that just happen? But anyway, she was at the Q&A. I joined my friend in the bar, and I said, I'm seldom rendered speechless.
I know that.
But you understand star quality if you're ever in her company.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It was shocking to me. It's one of the few times where I've totally felt the magnetism of a film star, and it was just crazy.
Yeah.
You give okay performances sometimes, at other times, and then great ones, Nicole. Let me tell you, you are a talent.
Well, we're going to take a short break right now. We're going to come back, and I don't want to overlook this lovely gentleman that's also going to be calling in today. Writer-director Ben Mehlman will be joining us to talk about I Blame Monty Hall. So, we'll be right back. And welcome back to Behind the Lens. And I'm Debbie Elias. Sitting here with me today is Michael Snyder. And yes, Brian. Brian has not gotten to do Star Wars Countdown yet, so hopefully we'll get to that in the last half of the show, because we have to do Star Wars Countdown, because Michael Sandoval will be very upset if we don't do it. But right now, we have joining us, is this the wonderful writer-director Ben Mehlman?
Hey, how are you? Sorry, that's a lot better. I had to move for a moment, but now I can hear you perfectly.
Hey, Ben, how you doing?
I'm good. And yourself?
I am fine. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I even have a fellow film critic here in studio today, Michael Snyder.
Hey, Michael, how are you?
I'm good, Ben. How you doing?
I can't complain. Just kind of hitting the week going.
Well, I'm so excited with your short, I Blame Monty Hall.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to hear when people enjoy it.
Where did the idea, because, Reed, your producer and, your leading lady, Reed Cox, spoke we spoke at length about this the other day, but there's, you're the writer, you're the author, the screenwriter, the visionary who put this together. Where did the idea for this short, come from?
Well, I always liked kind of the Twilight Zone and some genre-y type things, and Reed and I were talking about potentially working on some projects, and she had her house. And it's just kind of really cool, old, like, Hollywood feel to it. And I was just kind of honestly staring at that door, and I was like, And I've always personally been very intrigued by the idea of personal responsibility and the idea of kind of ignoring, like, kind of the signs that are coming at you. And I always enjoyed the idea of taking, like, a twist and really playing around with it. So I was trying to kind of take more of, like, how Robert Rodriguez did with El Mariachi, of, like, all right, I have a great actress, I have this location, I have these kind of genre things I like to play around with. What kind of fits into this mold in a way that is really fun, and I can really challenge myself to do something where we don't have to do anything too expansive, but it feels like it's a complete whole story.
And how do you, when you were writing this, because your visuals are so distinctive here, and I know that Reed and I had talked about Julia Swain, who is your DP on this. You've got some wonderful camera pullback going on, great dutching of the camera, really interesting angles. How do you, as a director, did you, storyboard this out while you were writing and creating? Did the visual design come to you afterwards? It's always interesting when the director is wearing multiple hats as to,
Of course.
Is it a meld, or is it the chicken and the egg situation?
Well, when I'm writing, I try not to get too ahead of myself with the directing stuff. So what I do is, I'll write it if something comes up, especially since I knew I was directing it. I will really focus on, okay, cool, this could be a good visual moment, but I wait until I get to a point where I say, okay, this is really close to what we want to do, and then with the cinematographer, we will beat out everything. And, Julia is so unbelievably talented, and what I try to do with really any of the department heads is that, once they come on board, to see what their instincts are and how they might want to try to go with something, and then collaborate together to try to go towards that. So with this, we worked together. I did the first draft of the storyboarding. I actually had this really cool app on my iPad where you could actually animate exactly where the camera angles are and everything. And for this, it was really important because I feel like a lot of filmmaking now is really about, like, a lot of shake and a lot of, like, multiple cutting and everything. And I'm a little more of a fan of David Fincher style or Stanley Kubrick, where the camera placement is extremely intentional and the movement is there to really try to drive home a point, but also shooting it in a way that you can also have some variety when you're editing, because I don't really want to, back myself into a corner where if I'm shooting something, I also go, okay, this is the only way, and, the last part of a movie is editing, and I think it's important to have intention, but to be able to let that evolve throughout the process.
Now, how important, because for the whole mood, the tonal bandwidth and the emotional mood of I Blame Monty Hall, how important was having that house that you shot in with those dark woods, with those narrow halls? Because all of that just feeds into what we're seeing unfold. And I have to be mysterious, listeners, because otherwise it'll be massive spoilers. We don't want to do that.
Right. I'm sitting here going, what did Monty Hall do? Did he not make the deal? Is that what's going on here? I've not seen this thing, so I do apologize for my ignorance on it, but it's certainly a provocative title, is all I'm saying.
Exactly. Well, people have been enjoying the title, and I kind of, it's hard when you're an up-and-coming filmmaker to kind of have things be a little mysterious and whatnot, but I've, enjoyed, even with Tarantino, with Reservoir Dogs, how that title means something to him, but so many people come in and guess, and it's been really fun to have people try to guess and interpret what the title has meant. And to go to your question about the house, I think it's really the only way that it could have been shot, Reed was amazing enough to let us shoot there, and it really was conceived through that. I've done enough films before this to really know that it's very important to understand also the limitations of what you can do budget-wise and to really stretch how you can shoot and really get the most out of something. So a lot of it was, pre-production and doing a lot of stills, and even, for some of the more elaborate shots were some visual effects shots. So there were some shots that we actually had to manipulate the image, and a lot of that was me teaching myself After Effects, knowing that this was how we wanted to do it, and I had to make sure in pre-production that I was able to pull it off before we shot it.
Now, did you edit this? Did you edit this one yourself, Ben?
No, so I got really, really lucky with an amazing editor. His name is Trevor Baker, and we did a music video before this, and he is unbelievably talented and is, making a great stamp as an editor himself. He's working on Narcos right now, and I was lucky enough to be able to convince him to help me out in between, his off time between two seasons. And we were definitely in the room, but I want to make sure that I give him all the credit in the world. I don't think the movie would have turned out the way it was without him.
These connections that you make, my assumption is that you're working out of the LA area. Am I right or wrong on that?
Yes, I am.
So, again, to the point I made earlier, we're in the middle of this artist colony down here, and there are all these incredibly talented people. I mean, I've had good fortune in terms of the short film that I wrote that's currently on the festival circuit because I had contacts with people that had incredible talent, incredible skill, and we were able to bring that to bear. So I guess you really, when you think about lucking out, no, you're in the right place to meet the guy who's editing, who's working on Narcos, which is a massively successful and powerful mini-series that we're seeing. I guess it's going into more production, as you're saying. So, it makes sense, basically.
Exactly, and I think that with a project at this scale, because we shot it for basically nothing, and I'm sure you understand too with shorts, it's kind of counterintuitive. But sometimes I think you really need to give people an out to say no, honestly, because we don't have much money to pay for them, and a lot of it has to be passion. And I think that for me, the way that we were able to get a lot of so many great people was for me in the first meeting to be like, look, you're amazingly talented. And, if this amount of money is not something that you are able to work for anymore, if you're above this, if, it's not something that is right for you right now, then that is amazing, and I wish you the best of luck, and I hope that we get to a point where I can afford this. But I think that it's important to try to give yourself a scenario where you can have people who are really doing it because they're very passionate about it, and to also not hold it against someone if they, are further enough in their career that, they don't need to do, a lower budget short. That's great for them.
Mm-hmm. Now, something I've got to ask you about, because I really took note of it as I was watching and listening, is your music. Ian Rees did your music. How did you find Ian, and what were those discussions and conversations like to come up with the musical palette that you have?
I mean, I cannot say enough amazing things about Ian. He and I have been working together for about 4 years. He did a short that I did with his composing partner, Garrett Crosby. This short I did called Between the Forest and the Field, and then I did a music video for Ian and his band right before this. And Garrett was unable to fully work on this one because he was actually about to have his first child, which is completely understandable and something for them to be able to focus on. So with Ian, I've always loved working with him, and he, I think, is probably the best example of someone where I give him very little direction because he's so talented, where I just say, what are your instincts? And then we really go back and forth and do some of the passes we did, maybe 15, 16 passes of each score, but I think it's so important that we really push each other to try to do it, and I really try to tell him, okay, I want to know what your instincts, these are some of the influences and kind of things that go with it, but I really try to push him to try to be extremely experimental and to really, because he's classically trained, to really, in the moment, if it doesn't work musically, like as a composer, but it feels right to really push that and do that. And, you know, he did an amazing job. And even like the end credit song was all him.
Oh, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. You know, what were some, you mentioned, you know, influences. So what were the musical influences that you suggested to him?
So, I mean, I really love what Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are doing right now. I think that between the Gone Girl score, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, they do a really fun, ambient feel, and I enjoy a lot of atmospheric music, especially for something like this. And then for the ending, is, you know, because you've seen it, it really turns up the volume at the end because I wanted to really hit, because I really wanted to try to make a movie that kind of slapped you at the end and wanted you to try to go back and rewatch and pick up things you haven't seen before. So a lot of it was restraint and kind of just playing towards the tension of Kate Reed's character emotionally as it gets racked up more and more and more, like it's a vice. Like, I would almost use some music terms, but more emotional feeling, kind of like the music is a vice going more and more and more and more until the end, until it finally releases.
Well, where can people see I Blame Monty Hall?
Well, we have our website, which is www.iblamemontyhall.com, or look for it on YouTube. It'll be very easy to find. It is up there for everyone to watch.
Well, Ben, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. I am so glad that after I had Reed on, I said, hey, Ben, come do the show.
It's an absolute pleasure. I'm beyond excited to be on it, and it's great to talk to people who really enjoy it, so thank you so much.
And I hope you will come back on the show with your next project.
I would be more than happy to. I look forward to it, and I enjoy everything you're doing.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Ben.
All right, have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that was Ben Mehlman, writer-director of I Blame Monty Hall. And I know Brian's back there playing with phones because he's going to be getting Lynn Cohen and Josh Burrow. You know, it's too bad Josh isn't here. Maybe he could have brought us some, you know, samples of Captain Morgan.
A little juice.
No, we don't do that here.
To get the old juices flowing.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out what Brian is telling me. Brian, what are you telling me right now?
We have our second guest on.
Well, we're getting two at 11:30.
Oh, okay, so we only have one. Sorry, when I answer the phone, I'm sorry, I know you can see me to let the audience know so they don't think that I'm just goofing off here, which I am. Whenever someone calls, I have to take off my headphones and answer the phone because I'm a one-man crew back here, so I can't hear anything that's going on as I'm answering the phone. So if you guys were saying nice stuff about me, I'd like for you to repeat it.
Okay, who do we have on the line? You don't know. You don't know. He's shrugging his shoulders. It's one of two people. Tell me.
Okay, tell me one of the two names, and I'll let you know.
Is it Lynn? Okay. Well, then let's go ahead and we'll start with Lynn, and we'll do more music and stuff later. But I am so excited to welcome this lovely lady to Behind the Lens, Lynn Cohen. Hello, Lynn.
Hello. How are you?
I am fine. I am so thrilled. The last time you and I talked was at LA Film Festival in 2010 for Hello Lonesome.
Yes.
Up on top of the garage roof. You were one of my must-see festival films. You went on to win the jury prize for Best Ensemble Performance.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
I mean, you are, and since then, I mean, we've seen you in Hunger Games. I mean, most people know you for your indelible performance as Golda Meir in Munich. You have just been everywhere. You are a staple of our television and movie going.
I just keep knocking on doors. That's what I keep doing.
Well, you're opening a whole lot of them, and you know, right now here, I know we're going to talk about All in Time today, but also it is National Pickle Day. And you do have another film out that is very, very timely, The Pickle Recipe.
There's such a thing as a national...
National Pickle Day, and that is today.
Good Lord. Yeah.
So I think everybody needs to see The Pickle Recipe today as well.
Well, if it's now, my voice is repeating. Can you hear that?
No, we're not getting a repeat on our end.
Oh, okay. I'm hearing my voice back, which means there's two of me for the price of one, for God's sake. Yeah, I'm doing a reading of a play at the wonderful Westport Playhouse. So, this never stops.
Yeah, well, that's what keeps you young, Lynn.
Oh, I'm married to a perfect man. I think that's something to do with it.
What is it? Because unlike most established actors, you really cater to and embrace these first-time directors, these young directors. You did it with Adam, with Hello Lonesome.
Yes.
You've done it now on All in Time with Chris. What is the magic of that for you? So, you've done, you've worked with Spielberg and you've done, Hunger Games.
Yes.
You don't need to work on little tiny little indie projects, yet you do.
I don't even know what an indie project is. I'm so dumb. I go by what the material is.
So,
If it's a human being I'd like to bring to life, then that's that I'm there. Period. I'm not interested in cliches, but I am interested in humanity. I think that's the joy of being an actor.
Well, and, actually joining us right now with you, Lynn, is one of your co-stars, the fabulous Josh Burrow.
I hear you, Lynn.
Oh, he's very gorgeous.
Yeah, how is that? Now, let's cover your ears, Josh. Lynn, how is it to be on a set with such a fine-looking specimen like Josh?
It's fun.
Dear God. Dear God. I heard it. I couldn't cover my ears.
I am bad. That's my mission in life.
Well,
I got to tell you, it was my pleasure and honor to work with and be on set with Lynn. I mean, it was inspirational. Seriously. The smile. She's got a contagious smile.
No.
No.
I'm glad I made this phone call. That's good. I'm going to go tell my husband about
Josh,
this.
I'll gush all day long on you.
You're right.
Oh, God.
Josh,
All right.
Josh is very right.
You want to meet for lunch? What's cooking?
Let's get an early afternoon cocktail.
Love it. And then we can have a late afternoon also.
You see what you're starting here?
I like instigating things, especially with two incredible people like this. I don't know if you heard, Josh, but Lynn and I actually interviewed 6 years ago.
Yes.
And for a performance of hers that I still love to this day in Hello Lonesome. And so
Yes.
every chance I get to see her in something, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
6 years
Do you mind
ago,
if
Go ahead.
Listen, do you mind if I just take you with me wherever I go, just every once in a while?
Of
So
course.
I wonder, why am I doing this insane thing?
I will go anywhere you want, Lynn.
Okay.
I will go. I will go anywhere with you. What?
Okay.
You know what? You know what? It's so refreshing, I guess, to hear you say that, Lynn, about why am I doing this thing? And,
Yes.
You've been in the game for a long time. I've been in it for a while, and I still sometimes going, what am I doing?
Right.
Not because of lack of passion or love. It's just it's thug life. It's survival. Sometimes it ain't easy.
Well, nothing that's worthwhile is easy. I really feel that. And if you have to do it, then you must. And if there's any other options in life, like climbing mountains, do that because it might be easier. But it's a gift to be able to spend your life with the perfect human being, which I have in my life, and great children, and to be able to do the work that you were meant to do.
I want to ask both of you, when you get a script like All in Time, sent to you, especially with this one, what
Yes.
was it about this script that spoke to you, especially for you, Josh? Because you coming into this, you've got part of a real life band with their real music that's being played. You're joining with some of the real band members, but Chris needed a very moody person who could pull off the role of Glenn. So you get this script, which is just it's original, it's creative. I mean, I just think it's absolutely charming, and you get to shoot in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. So
Yahoo.
hey, I'm from Philly, and my sidekick here today, Michael Snyder, he's also from Philly, so we know Wilkes-Barre.
Love Philadelphia. I've worked there twice. I love it. What a city.
We know Philly, and we know
Wilkes-Barre.
we know Wilkes-Barre, and we also know the whole Delaware Valley.
Yes.
So
So I've heard it Wilkes-Barre, Wilkes-Barre. What is it?
I spent my whole life growing up in Philly calling it Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Wilkes-Barre. Yeah.
Wilkes-Barre.
You just
Yeah.
light emphasis on that last RE, ever so light.
So when
To answer the question, what attracted to me to it was like I'm not a musician, and so the challenge to I'm sorry to admit to anyone that saw this that I'm not a musician, but
you were awfully believable.
well, thank you.
For me, it was.
I
I
was
thought
just
you
thinking,
were.
man,
Yes.
this is going to require a different kind of focus, and if I can, and so I worked on becoming a believable musician first, and then the relationship, because I was struggling with that, so that kind of just poured over into struggling with my relationship with Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just the challenge of that, and also wanting to feel like a rock star, because we go to concerts and stuff, and rock stars are a different breed. And I mean, there were moments up there when we were with the live audience, and I was doing my thing, and I had to sing I have to sing, and so I talked to the real lead singer, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know if I'm not feeling it. He goes, pick somebody and sing to them. And I go, oh my God, why didn't I ask you sooner? So I did that, and it was amazing. I honestly thought, and I was the rock star for that moment.
Well, is that something that, because I know you've done a lot of theater, is that something that because I know some people in the theater, they do that as well when they're about to perform live. They'll pick somebody to focus on in the audience. Have you ever done that with acting?
You're talking to Josh or Lynn?
For both of you, actually.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I know. What I do on the, I really believe that I'm no better than the person I'm working with. If I have to be working with really good people, I have a chance of coming out pretty fair. For me, my focus on the stage is what's happening, what I need, what must I get from the other person, or what do I need from this moment? What do I need to go on with my life in one way or another? Even with a comedy. Sometimes with a comedy, it's even pushed farther. If I don't get this, I'll go, hang myself or whatever. But that's what it is for me. It's the other human beings on the stage.
Lynn, I'm curious. Yeah. It's Michael. It's not off book particularly, but do you feel the need to stay on book with the scripts? Do you hold the scripts to be sanctified, or the words, kind of a litany that you have to know inside out?
It's really interesting. If you're working in a play, yes, absolutely, yes. Particularly if it's a great playwright. But even if it's one only hopes that one works with the best. Yes, you must do that. And I believe the same in film. When you're working with Spielberg, and you have this amazing script and the words were, everything was really honored. There was no ad-libbing. When you work with Woody Allen, it's really amazing because he says, when you first walk in, you don't have to say everything exactly like I wrote it. And he loves to improvise, and I love improvising. But also, I knew, because he's really a genius, I knew where the jokes were. I know where the humor was, and those words I really clung to.
So Woody Allen gives you a little latitude, but at the same time, his stuff is so solid and locked in. Why even bother?
Yeah, it's just amazing. And but he did tell me, that's the first thing he said, you don't really have to say all the words like I wrote them. And we did improvise stuff, and with Diane Keaton the same way. And of course, that's very second nature to her. But I knew where the words had to be, what he wrote, and he is a genius, as Spielberg is too. And you respect those scripts.
And what about for you? What about for you, Josh?
So pretty much very similar. And with Woody, I've auditioned for him, and he's like, you know what? Say what you want to say. And so I did his words a few times, and then I said mine, and he's actually like, I actually like your words better than mine. So that is, for me, most directors are different. So I think kind of early on, who wants you to stick to the words and who doesn't. I honor the words just like Lynn, but I too really, one extra word might help me get into it farther or deeper. So I do add a little bit here and there.
Okay, well, this begs the big question, Josh. What have you added to the Captain Morgan character?
I mean, that's probably everything, because we didn't know what we were doing as far as we started out from scratch. I mean, I read everything I could about him and how the real Captain Henry Morgan came to be. And I think what I just pulled from that is that everybody wanted to hang out with him or be on his team. So I think that's what I focused on, is being the guy that every guy wanted to hang out with and every girl wanted to be with, charming and dangerous and whatever. But that was, I mean, I'm not even kidding. That might be the best job I've ever had.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to grow up and be a pilot?
I just wanted to mention one more thing. The words in Munich were written by Tony Kushner, who is a genius. And to be in the room with both those guys was really something.
Okay, so you're in the room with both those guys at one point, and now you're in a room with Chris Vetchko and Marina Donahue.
Yes.
How do you? Is this like apples and oranges?
I loved it because you know why? They come from different places, but they both have the same goal, but they came from different places. I mean, and Marina's daughter is in them. She plays the waitress, and she walks on and she walks off, and she gets a laugh. It's the biggest laugh in the whole film. But they come from different places because Chris would say one thing, and I understood exactly what he said, and then Marina would throw in something that just had to do with a woman, who was in love, who had a husband, who lost the husband, who loved this young man. So it was the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm. And what about?
I agree.
I was going to say, Josh, because I mean, you've done plays by Sam Shepard, and you're no slouch in front of the camera or on stage. So, how is it for you to go from something as storied as a Shepard play to doing All in Time with Chris and Marina?
So, just echoing what Lynn said, it is the best of both worlds, because Chris has kind of laid it out in a kind of a linear, factual way, and you understand what he's looking for and what he wants, and then Marina comes in and shades it in so you can, you can be more human. Like, I guess, obviously that's the goal, but my first few scenes, I was not exactly likable. I was a little on the very moody side, and with Marina's rewrites and stuff, you need to care about the bad guy too.
Mm-hmm.
So we added that stuff, and I guess in the test screenings, it was night and day.
Well, something I find interesting about the two of you, you both had, Sex in the City in your background.
Yes.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yes. Yes. Well, but tell you, working with Michael Patrick
still
King,
friends with SJ.
it was very interesting because you mentioned about throwing something in.
Mm-hmm.
Michael started as an actor. I knew Michael when I was doing had a Gabler and a girls' school in Dobbs Ferry, New York. I mean, you want to talk about really glamour. But he also, if something happened, like I remember one time, she walks in with the baby in one of those little cherry dolls, and she puts the baby on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked at her, I said, "What? On the floor?" And that really wasn't in the script. But Michael loved it. And it's true, isn't it? Why would you put the baby on the floor? For God's sake. So.
And obviously Michael saw something in you, Josh, because this was your first TV shot?
Wow.
Yeah, I think it was, actually.
I know it was one of your very early ones, and then you both have done Law and Order as well.
I think if you're in New York, you know.
Yeah.
Hey. My friend
One of
Michael.
the very first ones I did of Law and Order was with James Earl Jones, and the only two-part one they ever did, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, the New York connection. If you are a New York actor and you don't do Law and Order, I think they drum you out of the city or something to that effect.
Truer words were never said.
Hey, my friend Michael Denola, a very talented actor, has done the trifecta. He's very.
Oh, I know Michael.
Three different. Yeah. He's like a brother to me, as they say. Three different characters, three different of the series. Three.
Right.
I'll tell you, it's meat and potatoes for you folks, right?
Yeah, I've done all three.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I think Lynn, you've done. Well, I know you've done two. Have you done all three of them?
No, I've done all of them.
You've done all of
Every
them too.
one of them. Yeah, I've done all of them, and all of them more than once. In fact, I just got through doing one.
90-day rule or 180-day rule?
Yeah. And I did Chicago Med, which is also Dick Wolf, and I did it in Chicago. I did a woman, you can take this out of the air if you want to, who was in the hospital because she was an old lady, because she had gonorrhea, but she loved getting it, so she didn't care.
So now,
so you may want to take that out. I don't know.
No,
that's in.
That's golden.
That's
Come
golden.
on.
Yes. So I've got to ask each of you, because Lynn, you keep doing this. You keep doing this. Josh, you just get, bigger and better. What is the greatest gift that acting gives each of you?
Wow. I'll let you go first, Josh, because,
Okay. So I guess it's maybe just to be completely emotionally, to live completely and emotionally full, because, in my life, I think I've unfortunately cut myself off from certain things because of, whatever happened earlier. So I really honestly didn't allow myself to feel, as much love as I probably could have, or happiness. Now, I mean, obviously, I've worked on that, and I'm a very happy and loving person. But you take a character, and you have to be something that you don't do every day, and you get to do it for on stage or in a film or on TV. And I walk away from some of these jobs just thinking how lucky I am that I get to experience that. And it's not, it didn't happen to me necessarily in real life, and I get to have that. So I think just that's kind of my first pass at the question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's more.
Well,
Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, Josh.
Yeah.
And what about for you, Lynn?
In what respect?
What the greatest gift that acting has given you and gives you?
I don't know how to do anything else. Look, I live with a man. I live with a man who's an artist, who's a genius, who's also a wonderful actor and a writer, and the most generous, giving human being the world would ever have. And I grew up as an only child and a very shy child, and somehow, when I acted, I was not alone anymore.
Oh.
And I could open my mouth and talk. And of course, now my husband wonders, why can't she shut her mouth? So I always say, well, I don't know, it's too hard and it takes time. But you know what? It's what I was meant to do.
Well, I think everybody listening and everybody needs what they are meant to do is to go to either Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, or Vimeo and watch both of you in All in Time.
All right, good deal.
And then,
I like that.
And then, hey, go to VOD to see Lynn in the pickle recipe too. Have you seen her in that yet, Josh?
No. Is this going? I just got back to New York yesterday.
Oh my God!
Yeah, my co-star was a pickle. I knew it would come to this.
Yeah.
My life. Right? So there you go. Thank you guys so much for you're both so smart. It's a pleasure.
I can't thank both of you enough. This has been a real pleasure, and I hope that you'll come back on the show again.
Well, just ask. I'm there.
Thank you, Lynn.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay,
Josh.
God bless.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Lynn. Bye, Lynn.
And that was Josh Burrow and Lynn Cohen.
Cool.
They
People.
didn't need us.
No. They could do the show on their own.
They didn't need us. So let's see. Should we do... Well, let's talk about Barry and Rowe for a minute while Brian brings up his Star Wars countdown.
Fine. What do you need to know? The Barry and Rowe show.
Tell people about Barry and Rowe since you weren't here before to talk about it.
The Barry and Rowe show
Yes.
is a short film about America's most dysfunctional show business couple, the stars and basic driving wheel behind the hit variety show in the early 70s, The Barry and Rowe Show. And in fact, this is an idea that my pal Mike Olson came up with a number of years ago that he wanted to do as a weekly live performance where people would come in and be sort of portraying guest stars of the era, impersonating like the likes of Woody Allen, who knows, but whomever would have been on the show at that point in time. It was inspired by the Sonny and Cher show, which suggested that this lovely singer and actress, it was saddled with this kind of this guy who was a producer, but what we did to change it up was Mike said, well, Barry would be a comedian who had a career in film, but had kind of basically screwed the pooch. He had ruined his career, and now he's bounced back as part of this husband and wife team. So we decided to do this as a kind of a pilot, an attempt to sort of show, proof of concept of how these characters could work, and a behind-the-scenes thing in the realm of Gary Shandling's TV show, The Larry Sanders Show. And also, we wanted to make a few nods to my favorite year, one of my favorite films, which is essentially about what went on behind the scenes in the 50s at your show of shows, the Sid Caesar program. So with all these ideas in mind, we put together a pilot, and we said, let's do a short film. And the short film essentially is Barry and Rowe attempting to shoot a promo for the second season of their hit show while their marriage is falling apart. We found wonderful performers.
Oh, and then all your production design, your wardrobe, fabulous. It's all period perfect.
Thank you. And Jordan Leibowitz, but the movie has won a couple of awards, Best Ensemble at the LA Independent Film Festival, and we found terrific actors. And Jordan Leibowitz, our director, wanted to shoot this thing straight on using 70s style television camera lens and coloring, and then have a Super 8 making of look to the cutaways. And it's incredibly effective. And just a quick shout out to our cast. Jeff Richards from Saturday Night Live, who was a featured performer on the show and was Drunk Girl, for those of you who may remember his character with Tina Fey and Jimmy Fallon on Weekend Update. Whitney Rice, a rising YouTube star, incredibly talented actress who was also in The Last Tycoon, the wonderful drama that I hope got a full order on Amazon and is in fact based on the last novel by Scott Fitzgerald. Earl Skakel, who is one of the Roast Battle luminaries. He's been on TV as part of Roast Battle and has also done some voice work on Comedy Central. And John Murray, Bill Murray's little brother, who had been in Moving Violations and Scrooged and does voice work. And so these four actors agreed to do the thing. Jordan shot it, and Mike Olson and I couldn't have been more proud. And we just had our Northern California premiere at the Napa Valley Film Festival, and I got a text from Jordan saying that it went really, really well. Great audience response. I couldn't be more proud and happy. And, we're going to see where it goes.
Well, and any festival it's in, people need to check it out because I think it's hilarious.
It's dark. It's dark.
Which is why I like it.
The Barry and Rose Show. Thank you. Thank you for addressing my little baby.
I love that. I love it. Now, Brian.
Yes, we are running out of time here, so I'll do it really quickly.
Well, just remember that, never mind. Go ahead.
No, I know. We got about a minute overlap.
Yeah, so
Yes.
you got about 2 minutes.
Including this that I'm cutting out. This conversation.
Okay, yes, okay.
Introduce me.
And now, the moment everybody waits for. I know our colleague Michael Sandoval waits for this every week. The Star Wars countdown.
Again, I don't look at this countdown until we start the program because I like to be surprised. And today is no exception. We are 31 days away from Rogue One. And again, the same concerns that I have that I told you last week is that I can't buy tickets yet. And around this time already for Star Wars Episode 7 last year, I already had my tickets. So, Disney, hurry it up. I want to know where I'm going to sit on Thursday night when I call off of work the next day, Friday. I need to know. Stop giving me these anxiety attacks. I want my ticket and I want it now.
Wow. We know what the real Death Star is now, don't we?
Yes, we do.
And Star Wars Episode 8 doesn't come out for another 395 days. So that one.
And how many hours?
Hours. Okay, the hours on this one, it's 12 hours on Rogue One and 12 hours, I guess, on the same. Well, they're both the same.
Yeah, okay.
12 hours.
Well, we got in Star Wars countdown.
We did.
Which is so important. Brian was very excited when I told him that, oh my God, they already had the advertisements for the jumbo-size Rogue One popcorn buckets in the AMC theaters. So, that's a must. And we're out of time. Again. How does this keep happening? Did you have fun?
I did. Thank you for having me over.
Oh, anytime. My pleasure. It's just such a schlep for you.
Oh, I know. But I dug it. We're in Southern California where the sun always shines.
And we're in Whittier, the birthplace of Richard Nixon.
Richard M. Nixon, a good Republican.
One of the best foreign policy presidents. So, and my cousin.
Oh, my God.
And on that revelation, that's all the time we have today. I'm Debbie Elias. This is Behind the Lens.